Hey guys, how's it going? Hope you're doing well. I'm Saprina, and today I'm going to be looking at one of my favorite speakers, President Barack Obama's 2004 speech at the Democratic National Convention. So I'm just going to be doing a reaction video, basically reacting and analyzing different parts of his speech to show you how you can use different techniques and tools. And I think the most important thing really when you're watching this kind of speech is to have on hand a box of Kleenex, because it gets really emotional. At least I get super emotional with this kind of stuff. And just to give you a bit of background, in 2004, John Kerry was running for president, and Barack Obama was chosen as the keynote speaker at the convention. And he made such a huge impact that people actually forgot that John Kerry was the person that was running for presidency. And I think that when you watch this with me, you might do that too. So maybe grab some Kleenex and join me, and let's get going.
Tonight is a particular honor for me because, let's face it, my presence on this stage is pretty unlikely. My father was a foreign student, born and raised in a small village in Kenya. His father, my grandfather, was a cook, a domestic servant to the British. But my grandfather had larger dreams for his son. My father got a scholarship to study in a magical place, America, that shone as a beacon of freedom and opportunity to so many who had come before.
Okay, so that's already an emotional moment for me. But he actually addresses that very thing which many people would be thinking about. And that's a really powerful way to start. It's by starting with exactly what you know other people perceive you as and addressing it full on. Then he moves on to express the evidence behind why it is so unlikely that he's here. And this is the part where he gets really personal and very specific. And then he also talks about his grandfather and how his grandfather had dreams, because he's gone from the mundane to the idealistic very quickly. He's taken us from what was just a regular childhood of a man from Kenya and tied it to the idea of dreams, tied it to an idea of a fairy tale, tied it to an America that is a magical place.
While studying here, my father met my mother. She was born in a town on the other side of the world, in Kansas. Her father worked on oil rigs and farms through most of the Depression. My grandmother raised a baby and went to work on a bomber assembly line. After the war, they studied on the GI Bill, bought a house through FHA, and they too had big dreams for their daughter.
This is really where Barack Obama is introducing the theme that he wanted the speech to be all about, which is his story as part of the American story.
My parents shared not only an improbable love, they shared an abiding faith in the possibilities of this nation. They would give me an African name, Barack, or Blessed, believing that in a tolerant America, your name is no barrier to success. They're both passed away now. And yet I know that on this night, they look down on me with great pride. They stand here, and I stand here today, grateful for the diversity of my heritage, aware that my parents' dreams live on in my two precious daughters. I stand here knowing that my story is part of the larger American story, that I owe a debt to all of those who came before me, and that in no other country on earth is my story even possible.
And here again, he's coming back to the common theme of the dream. It's a kind of America. It's a vision of America. And he goes very specifically into that vision. And it becomes very, very emotional very quickly, because whenever we're talking about dreams of our parents or our forefathers or grandfathers, it just creates this sense of nostalgia. It reminds us of why we're here. It gives us a sense of purpose. And that's exactly what he has done here. What he's also done is that he has tied their dreams to him, but also to the future by mentioning his daughters. And so there is this continuity, there is this legacy, there is this sense of going somewhere and having this dream that we all have to carry together.
We gather to affirm the greatness of our nation.
And that use of the third pronoun is extremely powerful because it creates this sense of collectiveness, this collectivity, that we're all in this together.
That all men are created equal. Liberty and the pursuit of happiness. That is the true genius of America.
He's using history, he's using evidence, he's using text that everybody would be familiar with to really emphasize his point. And when he says that is the true genius of America, he's also speaking as an authority figure.
A faith in simple dreams, an insistence on small miracles. We can tuck in our children at night and know that we can participate in the political process.
Dreams, faith, beliefs, these are all words that connect us. We care about people who have dreams, who have faith, who have beliefs.
And fellow Americans, Democrats, Republicans, Independents, I say to you tonight, we have more work to do.
This key line, we have more work to do. Now, this is going to be followed by the same use of that line, the more work to do, with specific examples.
More work to do for the workers I met in Galesburg, Illinois. More to do for the father that I met who was losing his job. And more to do for the young woman in East St. Louis.
And each time he's done it, he's also given a very specific example, and it's a very emotional example.
People don't expect government to solve all their problems, but they sense deep in their bones that with just a slight change in priorities, we can make sure that every child in America has a decent shot at life.
Right? So he's given us the problem and kind of the solution, but not the full solution yet. And that's another rhetorical technique to use, which is we create a puzzle and then we offer a solution.
And that man is John Kerry. Again and again, we've seen him make. John Kerry believes in an America where hard work is rewarded, believes in energy independence. John Kerry believes in the constitutional.
Now we're getting an idea of who John Kerry is and how those beliefs will also translate into policy and how those policies are actually different from the previous administration's policies.
And John Kerry believes that in a dangerous world, war must be an option sometimes, but it should never be the first option.
Obviously, at this time, George Bush was president, and so this is a great way to provide that contrast between who John Kerry is and who George Bush is.
A while back, I met a young man named Seamus in a VFW. He told me he joined the Marines and was heading to Iraq the following week. And as I listened to him explain, I thought, this young man was all that any of us might ever hope for in a child.
He's really made us love this person.
The 900 men and women, sons and daughters, husbands and wives, friends and neighbors who won't be returning to their own hometown. And to never, ever go to war without enough troops to win the war, secure the peace, and earn the respect of the world.
And so he really paints the picture of an entire country going from the specific to the general. And he also specifies the principle that war cannot be the first option.
Let me be clear. We have real enemies in the world.
And so like he did before, he's going to qualify that statement.
And just as Lieutenant Kerry did not hesitate to risk his life to protect the men who served with him in Vietnam, President Kerry will not. For alongside our famous individualism, there's another ingredient in the American side.
And here, as a segue, Obama really wants to introduce a different element, which is the element of unity and the American family. And here, what's really useful is that he uses the concept of believing. John Kerry believes in something else about America and uses that as a segue into this next principle.
Belief that we're all connected as one people. If there's a child on the south side of Chicago who can't read, that matters to me even if it's not my child. If there's a senior citizen somewhere who can't pay for their prescription drugs, and that makes my life poorer even if it's not my grandparent. It is that fundamental belief, I am my brother's keeper, I am my sister's keeper, that makes this country work. E pluribus unum, out of many, one.
When he says grandparent, I think of my grandparent. When he says child, I think of my child. And that's a really powerful technique when you transform a character or a non-entity or just a person into a relationship that you can identify with, into an archetype that exists in your world. It will resonate. It just resonates powerfully because we are tribal creatures and we think about each other in terms of the relationships that we have. So
now, even as we speak, there are those who are preparing to divide us.
And in any storytelling, in any kind of hero's journey storytelling format especially, you always want a villain because a villain is what gives you purpose, gives you a goal, gives you something to defeat.
Well, I say to them tonight, there is not a liberal America and a conservative America. There is the United States of America. There is not a black America and a white America and Latino America and Asian America. There's the United States of America. We are one people, all of us pledging allegiance to the Stars and Stripes, all of us defending the United States of America.
So he's gotten us to a place where we are just so united, we are emotionally connected, we're probably crying. Whenever you hear about people talking about call to action, this is the place where I think any customer, anybody is ready to buy your product because you've just completely sold that dream, that vision, that belief to them.
Do we participate in a politics of cynicism, or do we participate in a politics of hope?
Question. It's an abstract question, really, but it captures this, again, duality.
I'm not talking about blind optimism here. The almost willful ignorance that thinks unemployment will go away if we just don't think about it. Something more substantial. It's the hope of slaves sitting around a fire singing freedom songs. The hope of immigrants setting out for distant shores. The hope of a young naval lieutenant bravely patrolling the Mekong Delta. The hope of a mill worker's son who dares to defy the odds. The hope of a skinny kid with a funny name who believes that America has a place for him too.
Okay. That line, that skinny kid line, always gets me. I don't know why. It just gets me so much. See how he offers the solution? He says this is John Kerry hopes. So he has that vision. John Edwards has that vision. And everybody who comes with them will be bringing that vision to life. But he also tries to qualify that by not making it seem like a very naive hope. And then he gives very specific examples that are very emotional examples. A young lieutenant patrolling the Mekong Delta, and then you realize, oh, actually that's John Kerry that he's talking about. Then he talks about a mill worker who had these dreams, and then you realize, oh, he's talking about his grandfather. And then he speaks about a skinny kid. And when he does that, he actually touches his chest, which reminds you, this is him. He's talking about himself. He's talking about how this vision of America has a place for him in which he can belong to. And that, for some reason, really hits my heart. But I think that that's one of the most powerful moments of the speech because he is willing to show us how deeply he cares that this is really his story. It is an American story, but it's also his story, and this vision matters to him so, so much. And because we love him so much at this point, we probably will want to go along with it too.
In the face of difficulty, hope in the face of uncertainty, the audacity of hope. In the end, that is God's greatest gift to us, the bedrock of this nation. A belief in things not seen. A belief that there are better days ahead. I believe that we can give our middle class relief and provide working families with a road to opportunity. I believe we can provide jobs to the jobless, homes to the homeless, and reclaim young people in cities across America from violence and despair. I believe that we have a righteous wind in our backs, and that as we stand on the crossroads of history.
Another thing he does here is that in the end, this is God's greatest gift to us. This is the first time he's bringing in the divine, but it's extremely powerful and it's also very relevant. And it creates this whole heroic kind of feeling. It brings people together in the sense of that they're all part of this journey. They're all heroes in making this reality possible. But now, for the first time, he's saying, I believe, I believe. And he can do this because now we care about what he believes. Before, when he first started, we didn't know who he was, but now we know who he is, and we really care about what Barack Obama believes and what he believes is the right thing for us to do.
America, tonight, if you feel the same energy that I do, if you feel the same urgency that I do, if you feel the same passion that I do, if you feel the same hopefulness that I do, if we do what we must do, then I have no doubt that all across the country, from Florida to Oregon, from Washington to Maine, the people will rise up in November, and John Kerry will be sworn in as president, and John Edwards will be sworn in as vice president, and this country will reclaim its promise, and out of this long political darkness, a brighter day will come. Thank you very much, everybody. God bless you. Thank you.
If we do what we must do, I love that sentence, because he's not saying if you do what I do, he's saying if we must do. So it's almost this divine thing that we have to do. It's God's greatest gift to us. If we do what we must do, then we will find a way out of this darkness into light. So it's kind of got this very prophetic, very sermon-like quality to it, where you feel euphoria, you feel excitement, you feel empowered with this new vision that you didn't necessarily have at the beginning of the speech. One structure that he uses a lot, which is really effective, this is not A, this is not B, this is not C, this is D. What that does is that it allows you to really give all these different assumptions that people might have about something some weight, because you're allowing them to see that you've taken into consideration what they think, but you're going for a different outcome. In threes, for some reason, things tend to stick much better in our brains and also allow us to, take people in on a bit of a journey. So don't just say one thing one way. Try to say it in three different ways, following each other, and see how that can come across and how you can really create kind of different rhythm, because that's also one thing that makes this speech so exceptional. Whenever you're thinking of telling a story, always think about how you can make it contrasting, because that's something that he uses again and again throughout the speech. So I hope you like this breakdown of the storytelling techniques that Barack Obama employed. So if you're interested in me breaking down or giving a reaction video to any other speech of anybody, whether it's a really good speech or a really shitty speech, let me know. I'd love to do it. And I wish you a wonderful day. Take care. Bye.